right, we are live there. Just making sure that the Instagram part is working here. And there we go. Sweet. We are live, good sir. Hey everybody, this is our May edition of our monthly Facebook Live. I am live with Mr. Paul, who is one of our phenomenal case managers here at Shift, and specifically he does a lot of work with our neuropathy patients and our weight loss patients. And so today we are going to be talking about Northern Michigan weight loss, which is kind of something new that we've recently launched that we're really excited about. Been getting phenomenal results. Let's see here. Sorry, having an issue streaming to Facebook. That's great. Please check Facebook to ensure the stream looks okay. All right, well, let's view on Facebook and see.
There you go.
Great. Yeah, it's not streaming very well. That's perfect. All right, well, we're just going to move along with it. It'll be all right. We're live on Instagram and YouTube, so we'll make it work. But what we're talking about is Northern Michigan weight loss, and it's a really cool program. I just kind of want to say to start off, the reason why we launched this is that we see a lot of people with a lot of conditions in our office that can really vary from everything, obviously from peripheral neuropathy to low back and disc herniations to neck pain and headaches to arthritic knees and just a lot of different conditions we run into. And something that kind of, I guess you could say, bothered me a little bit was a lot of these conditions are obviously made worse or exacerbated by, being overweight or being obese, having excess body weight. It's one of the most inflammatory substances that can be in our body is actually visceral body fat. So not only it's more weight on your joints, but it can also lead to things obviously like cardiovascular disease and specifically type 2 diabetes. And a lot of our neuropathy patients are diabetic. And so to me, this is we're always looking for root cause, right? What is the root cause of things? How can we best correct that rather than just masking things? So for me, it's like, how can we retrace a lot of the people we see and help them even sooner so they don't develop some of these debilitating issues in the future? And it was really a pretty simple answer of weight loss. And we know there's issues with weight loss. There's a million things out there you can try for weight loss, but there's a lot of misinformation. And we really wanted a program that basically anybody could do. Like it's not rigorous. There's no rigorous exercise requirements. Like we'll get into a lot of these things, but we wanted something that's easy to follow, straightforward. There's different things built into it to help make you successful. And it's things just about anybody can do. Even, if you're someone who is in tons of pain and you can't move around very well, that's okay. Like that's why we wanted a program like this. So let's just start off. I think one of the coolest things about the program and what we do is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's something a lot of people struggle with. Like if you're on this journey alone, it's really hard to have that self-discipline and that self-accountability. So Paul, from your eyes, working hand in hand with our patients as well, how do you see this from an accountability standpoint? How have you seen it specifically be helpful in certain situations? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've seen a lot of our patients that come in, they a lot of the fad diets that are out there right now. And 9 times out of 10, the biggest thing that holds them back, just from a mental perspective, is accountability. So it's very easy to talk ourselves into things when we don't have somebody else that is holding us accountable to what we're trying to do. So a lot of times we'll get somebody that comes in and says, yeah, I did XYZ on XYZ plan, and I was successful for a month or 2 months. But as soon as the program stopped or there was nobody there to help them when they hit a plateau or a hiccup in their plan, everything spiraled out of control and they ended up losing all the progress they made. I find that specifically with the program that we use here, we made ourselves pretty much available 24/7 to our patients. Whenever they have an issue, we're there for them through a messaging feature in the app that we use. And it just allows them to reach out, even when it's not just something as as straightforward as a plateau or they're having problems with anything, but just if they have a question about something with the diet or just a nagging thought in their head that they want to bounce off of somebody that knows. I just find that people find that so like a positive change to what they're normally used to with the dieting culture as it is right now.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right, that 24/7 text line that we have is huge. Anytime you got a question, anything's going on, you can send that. And then on top of that too, we have the in-office check-ins, right? So we literally schedule in-office check-ins for people weekly so that we're constantly, being able to do weigh-ins, measurements, all those different things, and answer questions in person and all that. So not only do you get kind of that virtual support, if you will, but also we have that in-person support, which I think is huge and just helps keep you accountable, right? It's like, hey, I know I got in there on Tuesday, so I got to make sure I hold it together this weekend.
Yeah, and it actually helps people too to share their success with others when they come in, and it's easy to notice when somebody's being successful in a program like this. So being recognized for your positive as well as being held accountable for any hiccups that you might have is really good for our patients, I think.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So another thing I wanted to touch on too is the fact that this is all natural. Because right now there's a lot of things out there. There's the Ozempic, the Mounjaro, these different, kind of weight loss fads or crazes that are happening. Truth is, anytime we're looking at something like an injection or a pharmaceutical, there's potential for side effects, and we're seeing some of those things come out with some of those drugs that are out there right now. Frankly, I really think it's people not being educated how to use them more than just, it's bad for you type of thing. But nonetheless, I think we got to be really careful. And this is something I say to patients a lot is we want to lose weight so that we are therefore healthier. We don't want to expense our health just to look skinnier, if that makes sense, right? And so some people do some unhealthy things to lose weight so they look better. But the truth of the matter is we want to be healthier for the long term, right? So, I don't know if you have any input on that as well.
Just that, like what you see out there on social media these days, we're always running up against people that are coming in and saying, oh, well, whatever thing that they saw on YouTube or Instagram, and it's artificially increasing metabolism. It's not doing anything naturally, and it's just not healthy for people. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what we're doing here, is because not only are we helping people to achieve their goals, but we get to watch as they become more healthy, and those risk factors we talked about are just diving off a cliff as they're going through the program. And that's something I love personally to watch.
No, it's amazing, man. Yeah, so we see cholesterol improves, blood pressure improves, all of these things. And when we can do that and stave off long-term diseases like heart attacks, strokes, cancer, like that's what it's all about for sure. So, a big part of our program is really focusing on hormone control. And again, I don't mean artificial, hormone. We're not injecting hormones or anything like that, but the hormones that really, control fat storage and energy expenditure and fat burning, all this stuff. Really, we're looking at, insulin and glucagon. Those are really, we're looking at our blood sugar, and we want to help stabilize that. Big problem is people get these huge blood sugar spikes, then the body's going to store a bunch of that as fat. And so that's a big component. That's part of why we have intermittent fasting is typically a big part of our program. There has been some bashing out there of intermittent fasting, which is hilarious because there's like over 1,000 pages of research showing how beneficial intermittent fasting is for humans as well as animals and everything in between. I can take a shot in the dark of maybe why there could be attack on intermittent fasting by the pharmaceutical lords that be, because then you don't need their drugs. So it's kind of weird. But the intermittent fasting is big because we want to actually keep blood sugar stable. We want to keep it low so that the body's actually turning to fat stores to burn as energy. And then we have some supplementation as part of our program that'll actually helps, number one, control appetite. So it helps you with intermittent fasting if we can go, 12 plus hours, through our sleep and through the morning without ingesting any food. So we have things that actually help with appetite control. And then number two, actually helping mobilize some of the stored fat and kind of, lack of scientific terms, just break up the fat and help burn it easier. So what's kind of been your experience working with people, getting them kind of used to some of the intermittent fasting?
Yeah, so intermittent fasting is kind of the way that we evolved, right? So it's the way that our ancestors used to eat on the plains. You know, they didn't have food available to them 24/7. That's very much a societal construct that's come about in the last 100 years. And we're not meant to eat constantly. It's just not the way that we're meant to be. And that's why we have such a large epidemic of obesity in America, is just because people just, they get bored, they eat. They, for whatever reason, are always turning to food to kind of fill a void. And what we find is that when people transition into intermittent fasting, not only does it help regulate the hormones like you were talking about and help them lose weight, but they just feel better, right? Because it's a more natural way of going about their eating. Like I have our patients all the time tell me, well, I feel so much more energetic. Like I feel so much more mental clarity as I'm going through my day. I've actually had a couple patients express to me that they don't want to stop intermittent fasting. Like, oh, I don't want to stop. And I'm like, well, you don't have to. Yeah. You can continue to eat this way. It's really good for you. Like not only for your keeping your body composition where you want it to be, but just for your general health. It's just an amazing way to treat your body in the long term. So two thumbs up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, super cool. And I'll take it a step further. I will say, if you're someone who feels like you need to eat like every 3 or 4 hours or something like that around the clock, other than when you're sleeping, I would say your metabolism is pretty trashed. I mean, like you did something to kind of ruin and damage your metabolism. You get like that hangry, you're upset, you get angry. And that's because your blood sugar is crashing. And really it shouldn't. Of course, if you're diabetic or something, you need to keep your blood sugar stable. Of course, we keep all those things into account with patients. So you got to do what's safe, of course. But in general, it's like if you can't go several hours without eating and your body is like completely shutting down, I mean, you really have jacked up your metabolism over the years. And it's something we can fix, which is cool, but it does take some time to unwind that and kind of retrain the body's physiology to get in that healthy eating pattern again. And I know you've seen that. I've seen that.
Absolutely. And that's where the supplementation that we use comes in, because it helps to bridge that gap. If you're not hungry every 3-4 hours, you're not really thinking about eating. The next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, this is great. Like, I don't even need this stuff anymore because I feel better. My metabolism has been reset into that healthy state that we talk about all the time through this program. It's just really nice to see people go through that and kind of realize that that 24/7 eating, breakfast, lunch, dinner is very much something that society pushes on us. It's not really healthy for our bodies.
Yeah, agreed. And part of that too, with the the appetite control and the intermittent fasting, the cool part about that too is we're not eating processed crap, for lack of a better term, on our plans, right? We're eating real nutritious whole foods. And what's interesting and not surprising for most people is that all the processed foods and stuff that people are used to eating, they're literally made to be addictive. They want you to buy more of these foods. And so they are made to be addictive, and people get addicted to that. So one thing with whole foods is, number one, you get full faster because you're actually eating things that have fiber and protein and like different things in there that actually sustain your bodies. Part of the reason people feel hungry all the time is if you're eating a lot of empty calories. And what I mean by that is a bunch of kind of garbage that's processed, like candies, cookies, chips, sweets, just all this stuff, this packaged type food. It doesn't have the nutrients. And so your body is telling you you're hungry because you're lacking the nutrients, and you're just pounding more calories down without getting the nutrients, and you stay hungry. And that's why you keep needing to eat. If we can be nutritious with this and actually get the nutrients in, that's actually going to stave off the hunger more as well, because your body is like, hey, we're good. We got everything we need. But you could go eat 1,000 calories, get almost no nutrients out of it, and your body could still perceive hunger because you don't have the nutrients. So that's another part I think to touch on.
Very good point.
So cool. Let's hit on the exercise component, because this is something that's kind of a big deal. Like I mentioned earlier, we wanted to come up with something where you don't need to do any rigorous exercise in order to lose fat. Okay. Now I'm a huge proponent of exercise. I'm super active. Paul is a marathon runner. This guy's an animal. So trust us. We know the value of exercise and we know the value of movement, and we want everyone to get there. So don't get me wrong on that. We got to get people moving. But on this program, when we're talking specifically about fat loss, we actually dial people back. Like
Yes.
we talk about people keeping under certain heart rates if they do exercise, because if your heart rate gets too high, long story short, you start to burn blood sugar. You're burning more sugars rather than burning stored fat. So we actually want to keep people's heart rates fairly low. A lot of people, that's music to their ears, because they realize they don't need to go do, CrossFit 5 days a week trying to lose weight. We can take a lot more conservative approach when it comes to exercise.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of the reason why some people struggle so much on this journey, is because it's out there that you have to do all of this hard exercise to be able to achieve your goals. But our bodies, this is a big thing in the running community as well. Once you go past a certain point of your heart rate, your body will actually switch from burning fat to burning the sugars in your muscles. And that puts our body in a state where it needs to replenish those sugars. So it actually sets us back from our fat burning goals. So all of that work is actually taking you in the wrong direction, almost. So we have people that come in and we say, if you walk your dog 20 minutes, couple days every week, that's enough. Right? Just go out there and, we use a test where if you ever get to a point where you can't have a normal conversation like Dr. Kyle and I are right now, if you're like out of breath, you're going too hard. So you want to be able to, have a perfectly normal conversation, and it kind of blows people's minds because what do you mean? That's not what I've heard from this person or that person. It's like, well, this is science. This is the way that it's been forever. It's just diet culture has taken us away from the things that actually work, for the quick fix kind of deal, which is kind of what we're trying to be the antithesis to through the program. So yeah.
No, that's cool, man. I know we've already, this is a newer, program for us that we've launched here, but we've already had so many testimonials, which is awesome. Obviously, without giving away identities, you want to share maybe one or two of your favorites so far?
Oh yeah. So one in particular comes to mind. You touched on it earlier, but visceral fat is kind of this is the fat that accumulates around your organs as you kind of put on a little bit too much body weight. And this is where like most of the risk factors with obesity come in, the stroke, heart disease. It's been linked to some cancers at this point, but there's a hard cutoff. So when our scales measure, there's either a 10 or a 9. If you're a 10, your risk factors for all of that is way up here. And when you get to a 9, it's just, and it comes way down here. And I remember one of our patients, she was one of the very first people to come into the program. I remember the feeling I had when she went from a 10 to a 9. And it was like, it didn't mean that much to her in the moment because, weight loss can be a very aesthetic thing for people. But for me personally, just knowing that this person has gone from, these high risk things that could be life threatening, and now all of those things are no longer the case. It's just like, yes, like this is what it's all about. This is why, you'll find me so passionate about this program, is because like we're literally saving people's lives here.
Yeah.
And that's just an amazing feeling.
No, it is. I love that. And you're right. It is always so caught up on the aesthetics typically for weight loss. We'll occasionally have people come in that are a little deeper than that. They know they've got real health concerns and they're really trying to keep those at bay, and they want to make sure they're able to walk their daughter down the aisle or, all these different things that they want to make sure they're around for. And that's really what life is all about. So again, this is about people living their best life, living their potential that they were put on this earth to have. And we just want to make sure we unlock that for people and they get to realize that and live out their life the way they were meant to. And so awesome, man. Well, tell you what, I don't want to take up too much time here. I appreciate you, brother, for doing this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And hopefully this is insightful. One thing that's cool that we're doing, we do totally complimentary consultations for this. So if you go to, we got our website scrolling on the bottom here, northernmiweightloss.com. You can go ahead and schedule right through the website. We have complimentary consultations. We can chat, see if this might be a fit. it's not a fit for every person. It does take some commitment. It does take some discipline, like we talked about, but we're here to help and guide every step of the way and make it as easy as we can. Well, we'll do our part. You got to do your part. That's kind of the deal. So, anyone who's interested, you can message us, you can email us, ask questions, or you can schedule a complimentary consultation, and we'll be happy to chat with you about your weight loss goals.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, guys.
Cool. All right. Thanks a lot, Paul. Have a good day, everybody.